So my name is Stephen Sager. I'm from Geoscience Australia. I'm going to be giving a brief demonstration of the CS Coast initiative we're running, looking at coastline mapping in West Africa. So coastal areas in Africa, like many continents across the world, have a higher population density on the coastline, and especially in the Western African region, where economic opportunities based on infrastructure and fishing industry. Many of these countries in this region actually have coastal erosion one of the most costly and impactful environmental challenges. So what we're tackling in this project is looking at the challenge of getting a consistent coastal evolution data set. So covering these large areas, which is really crucial because the drivers of coastal change really happen at a lot of different scales. And countries and institutions are increasingly becoming aware and endorsing Earth observation data as the vehicle to try and understand the past changes and also look towards the future in terms of a monitoring capability. So within Australia, we're tackling this problem within the Digital Earth Australia program, which is our open data cube instance. We've developed the Coastlines product. Now, this is a product that leverages the 30-year or 32-year time series of Landsat data that we manage, paired up with tidal height modelling, and enables us to generate annual coastlines, which looks at the median position of the coastline across each year of that archive at mean sea level. So this gives us a really good indication of how the coastline is changing across the continent and enables us to drill down and look at things like rates of coastal change, the coastal dynamics at the scale of the Australian coastline. So one of the neat things that this product and process does enables us to look at coastal change across a whole range of scales. So we can look at a continental scale where we can look at regional hotspots of erosion and progradation, try to tie them up to broader scale drivers such as climate drivers. We can look at regional effects of geomorphology. Look at this is a really pretty picture there in Safety Bay in WA, looking at the scale of change that you can get even close to populations. And start to drill down to localized change as well too. We look at this localized change at a 30-metre resolution across the whole of the Australian coastline. So we can start to look at how the coastlines behaved at these specific points. You can see here, this is in Stewart Point in our Northern Territory. We can actually see it's 14.1 metres per year. So we're looking at almost 500 metres across the whole 30 years of the archive. So leveraging this archive is really important to us. To try and get this ported over to somewhere like Africa, we had to engage with DE Africa, which is the GEO initiative, which is the Open Data Cube instance for Africa. Now their mission and their goal is to really leverage the power of Earth observation data and that time series in particular to meet a whole bunch of different social, economic challenges, environmental challenges, and sustainable development goal applications as well too. So they manage their data on the AWS in Cape Town, and for us, having access to this kind of computational infrastructure and the archive is vitally important. They've also played a really important role in hooking us up with a partnership. So we're now partnering with the Centre for Ecological Monitoring in Senegal. And the goal here is to build capacity with these tools. So to take these coastline tools we've developed in Australia, go through a co-design prototype process with CSE, and they're going to help us with the validation aspect and source the validation data we need for this process. And most importantly, they're going to be an advocate across the region because there's a lot of programs going on with coastal management in West Africa, and the ability to outreach and get uptake across the different programs and countries in the region is going to be really vital for the CS Coast initiative. So we have run a prototype for the region. This hasn't been released yet, and we're actually in the process of validating with the in-country partners. This is a nice sort of indication of this is some of the prettier examples we have, some really dynamic coastlines in Senegal, for example. On the left there, you see the point of Sangomar in Senegal, and you can see this is a really dynamic point peninsula here. Highly populated though, so you can see down in the southwest corner there, the erosion is quite significant, really starting to threaten buildings and infrastructure. And even up into the northeast, where there's actually been quite a lot of land building or progradation there, you're actually seeing infrastructure and building to start to reclaim that area as well too. Now on the right in Dinawa, you can actually see these really beautiful sand spits and geomorphology, looking at rates of change of almost up to 1.5 kilometres over the 20 years of the archive. Can use the tool also to look at, I guess, more impactful type problems, things like coastal modification and how erosion is being dealt with or mitigated against. So this is looking in Lomé in Togo. You can see down the bottom there that they actually built a port probably towards the start of the early 2010s put in a couple of breakwaters there, and you can see they've acted as significant sediment traps there. So you've got the sediment coming from the west to east along the coast there. You can see the beach really starting to build, a lot of sediment getting trapped there behind the breakwater, which has implications down up the coast. So normally these beaches on the populated side of the city would actually see quite a good sediment supply, and starting to be starved by this development. You can see really strong erosion starting to impact on populated areas as a result of that modification. And a bit more of a good news story. This is in Continau in Benin, which is one of the coastal erosion hotspots in the region, I guess. And you can see even from the start of the archive in 2000, we're starting to get erosion all the way back into these populated areas. So around, I think, mid 2010s, they put in these breakwaters or groins to start mitigating erosion, and you're starting to see the effects of this. The 2019 and 2020 coastlines in the really light yellow, you can start to see them stabilize and move out a little bit more. So you can see the positive effects of this intervention. So what are we doing looking forward? The longer term aim, I guess, is to build a capability within DE Africa and the country partners, not only so they can run this historically and develop a picture across the continent, but also so they can get that up and running for monitoring purposes. And at GA, as part of the COAST program, we really want to develop a workflow that can be quite bulletproof on AWS, so we can start applying it to different instances where there's an open data cube. So perhaps in some other talks today, you might hear about some different data cube instances in the east coast of the US or Pacific Island states. So being able to apply this across these different instances would be really a good outcome for the program. So just take the final chance to acknowledge my partners, collaborators in GA, and also our partners in this program. Happy to take any queries, and look forward to answering any questions in the discussions later on.